so we can record these questions and post it online. So we're here for our pre-tournament presser, and we'll have a couple wrestlers here at 1 o'clock. So questions for Cael, give us a hand. Anyone?
Cael, at this time of year, you always talk about the health and well-being of your athletes. Just wondering the status generally, and then specifically with Josh Barr. Last time we saw him, he didn't look as healthy as he could have.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, Josh has been working really hard, and we've got Dan Monthly as our trainer. I can't imagine there's a better trainer in the world. He's put a lot of time and effort into Josh. Josh is going to be ready to scrap on Thursday. He's looking good.
Coach, thanks for your time. When you look at just overall where your team is from the end of the dual meet season and through Big Tens, and then what you've seen in the room since then, just how happy or how do you feel about where things are as you get ready to head down to Philly?
I just think things don't really change. We have a lot to be grateful for, just the people we get to work with every day, our coaching staff, these student athletes. We're kind of, all united in our mindset and our focus. So, yeah, we're happy. It's always, on to the next challenge, but, we're grateful for those challenges and grateful for the opportunities we have ahead of us here. It's not every week you have the opportunity to go win an NCAA championship. So, I'm guessing our guys are pretty excited for that opportunity. And the fun part is, seeing what they do with it.
Cael, so Luke I obviously had a very good tournament out at Northwestern. Did you notice anything different about him maybe the week leading up to it? I know that was tested during the regular season. He took some lumps, but it seems like you have him for a young wrestler peaking at exactly the right time. Do you feel that way, or do you think something changed with him?
Oh, I think he's just getting more confident each time he wrestled. I think it's the same message from the beginning. Obviously, very, very good coming in here. And he's just continued with his perspective, his approach to the sport, what he was brought up with. He's just, he looks at every match as an opportunity to get better. And that's just what he's done. And as a true freshman, I feel like a broken record, but I mean, he's just going to keep getting better. And if he has the right energy, the right mindset, he's coachable and he loves to compete. And he's obviously really good at the sport and really talented in addition to those things. So he's just a student of the game. And I think that's why you're seeing him with the right perspective and energy and attitude. That's why you see him just continue to get better as he goes on.
Cael, when you guys were in Philly a few years ago,
when
this kind of whole thing started, when you guys won it all, I know that moment kind of caught even some of your own fans a little bit by surprise. What do you wish maybe you knew in that moment kind of moving forward as far as where you guys are now? A lot of people talk dynasty. What do you wish that you kind of knew then about how much it would take to sustain this? Or what have you maybe learned from that time to now?
That's a good question. I mean, I wouldn't want to redo it all. It's a lot of work and it's every day, but that's every week. I think when you want to do it right the first time and then be at peace with the effort that you give and the attitude that you have as coaches. Obviously, I mean, we have to lead by example and then we move on to the next thing. So I think, the last however many years have been a lot of fun. We've gotten to spend, had some great moments, a lot of great relationships. I think, I mean, just like anything, you would just kind of say, hey, just have fun with it. Things are going to work out. If you're working hard and you're surrounding yourself with the right people, every day's a battle and a grind. That's the way life is designed, but it's all going to work out and it's all is well. I think that would, just some simple message like that. You said, what would I say to myself back in that? Yeah, just keep doing what you're doing. Things are going to work out and a lot to be grateful for.
Cael, we kind of touched on peaking. Just about Luke there.
Yeah.
How do you feel the guys are at this point? Like, I don't know if you can pinpoint or anything at all, but where do you think the guys are at this point? Do you think they're right there at that peak, or are they just, is it going to be Saturday night when they hit that peak?
Well, it's really impossible to say. I mean, we, the energy and the attitude of the kids is, been as great as it ever has been in our program. I mean, obviously we have a lot of consistency and there really haven't been many, if any, exceptions where our guys haven't been at their best in those big moments. But again, it comes down to each individual kid and them deciding and choosing, how they're going to go into competition, how they're going to use the 7 minutes that they have with each match. But I think they're prepared and we're excited for this. I think they're excited. I mean, it's we don't get too high or too low. It's every match when you're trying to be the best you can be is it requires kind of that same effort. But there's just something obviously special about a national tournament or that. I mean, I don't think there's a more fun wrestling tournament in the world than the NCAA tournament. It's just the team race and the energy, and I love folk style, so it's I think it's the best tournament in the world for sure. But I think our guys are ready to go, but they have to. They're the ones that get to decide for themselves and go out there and choose to compete with enthusiasm and gratitude, or not. But I think right now things look really good.
Coach, Carter's going for an unprecedented 5th title. How, when you see him go through the process and leading up to this, how is he handling the expectations? How are you and the coaching staff kind of handling the pressure of this and trying to mitigate it so that it doesn't, overwhelm and look past, what is in front of Carter for this? And what does ultimately a 5th NCAA title by one Penn State wrestler mean?
Yeah, we're excited for Carter. I think, Carter's one of those guys that he's given a great effort every single day. Every day he trains, every competition. So naturally he's going to be, at his best in the big moments. He always has been. Yeah, it's an unusual situation, right? I think he's a 4-time national champion, 4 out of 4. And, that's kind of the ultimate goal for kids when they're looking at NCAA wrestling. He's just blessed to have, another opportunity to, do something that we hope never is again available. Right. And it's just seizing the moment. I think he has a pretty good mindset about it. I remember him last year saying, the other 4-time guys probably could have won the 4th or 5th if they had a chance or whatever. Just like just a healthy perspective where it's not and you say, well, yeah, maybe, but maybe not. It's a different challenge. No one's ever been in this position like he is. But I think he's solid, and it's, you just try to keep things simple, and you just kind of focus on what you can do with your hands and your feet and your brain, and just kind of let everything else kind of work out. But I think, Carter's the, supreme competitor. He loves to compete, and I would think too, one thing I love about the nationals, or, I think as a competitor, you're thinking about is that, you can talk about winning the nationals your whole life. You can talk about it all season long. People ask you about it. Like, you can actually do something about it right now. Like this week, you can do something about it. Like, you can go win a national title. And I think that's like really refreshing and freeing. It's not, there's, no more talk or, speculation or this or that. You just get to go do it. And that's, that's the fun part.
Cael, going back to 2011, that's obviously the first of your 11 titles. If there was a signature moment from that tournament, it might have been semifinals, Quentin Wright, locking up that standing cradle and rolling the Iowa guy through his back and pinning him. What do you remember from that moment or that tournament in general?
Yeah, I think that was probably the moment when we thought, hey, we're winning. Like we got it. We won, kind of a deal. I think that was what made that special. Quentin Wright obviously does things in, dramatic fashion with the way he got that fall. And I think it was, Iowa's obviously, I feel like it was Cornell and Iowa maybe that year. But yeah, I just feel like that was the moment when we thought that, we were winning and being pretty darn special. It's exciting. I mean, I was in college wrestling a long time before, I was on a team, championship team, and my dad was a high school wrestling coach. And so you grow up knowing and just feeling that the team is always first and foremost. Individual stuff's great, but like we're a team. Like we got to win as a team. That's what we really that's the most important thing. And so, taking quite a few years to actually be a part of a team championship as coaches, it was a pretty cool thing.
Cael, when you think about the next 5 days, like travel, weight management, nutrition, the actual wrestling, can I put a lot of pressure on a staff just to coordinate everything, take care of all the kids, everything?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on. Each individual, has their, specific needs and different things. But at this point, we have a pretty good idea, what each kid needs. And mostly we try to really get them to take ownership over their own careers and just communicate with us. How can we help you? We're here to help you. And that goes nutrition, training, obviously all those different things. But yeah, I mean, we've done this, things change every year, our training plans change every year, the circumstances around each individual change every year. But we still have a pretty solid foundation that we follow. And, I know, we keep detailed records of every practice that we've ever had that, date back from day one, to coaching as a staff, that we reflect on those and look at them and, compare. And so we have a pretty good foundation of, what we're at and what we're doing. It still comes down to the individuals just choosing to go out there and be themselves, obviously. And that's a year-long plan. And, a lot of that happens during the recruiting process too, right? You're trying to pick kids that, that love to compete, love the sport, kind of can see the bigger picture of what's going on here. It's not all about winning and losing, right? I mean, that's in the overall scheme of things, eternity, that's really doesn't mean a whole lot, but, being yourself, being true to what you say you want, those things that really important or that are really important, and those values, I think all of those things kind of help out at this point. We're not, going to really reinvent anything or change anything. It's just a matter of, hey, we're ready. Let's go.
Coach,
Yep.
Braeden Davis has been dealing with bumps and bruises throughout the season, and then he wrestled at the Big Ten tournament, and I imagine has been taking steps in the right direction. What is his status overall? Is he, as close to 100% as possible? What are your expectations for him, and what can he maybe take away from his last time in NCAAs to apply it this time to be more successful?
Yeah, I think he had some valuable experience last year. He lost 2 matches. One was in, if I remember correctly, it was less than 10 seconds of riding time was the difference. And that's life. There's a fine line between winning and losing here and there. And then he was in to finish a takedown to be an All-American and kind of got flipped through. So, it's details, little things matter, details matter. I think, he was able to kind of experience that and see that. But I think as far as health, I think he's going to be even better this week than he was at the Big Ten. And I think outside of not having a lot of matches, he was feeling better and ready to go there. Won some good matches, lost a couple close matches, but I mean, it's a very competitive, it's like every weight. It's very competitive. I mean, it's just, you just got to decide that it's your day and go score points. So, but I think as far as health, he's ready to go.
Excuse me. If you go back to the beginning of the season, what did you think would be the biggest challenges for Levi moving up to 74? And now that we're here where we're at now, how has he made it look so seamless and effortless sometimes this year?
Yeah. Levi's he's just a beast. I mean, he's such a good kid, and even when he was making 57, he was on a very disciplined diet, certain types of foods, and he followed the plan too, exactly. So different plan this year. Now it's just go wrestle, keep your weight up, be yourself. And, but yeah, he's a good size 174 pounder. And he's just Levi Haines, he goes and he competes, and he's got a great mindset, and his values and focus are the right thing. So I just think he's just doing what he does and just being himself. I mean, he's a great leader for us. I mean, does a great job. Team guy, just lifts everybody up around him. But yeah, he's just he's one of those guys that make the coaches' jobs really easy.
Cael, obviously you guys got a lot going on. You're super busy, but I'm curious how much, or if at all, you've kind of kept tabs on David and Oklahoma State and what he's been able to build kind of in this first year, and what are maybe some of the things as a first-time head coach going into this tournament that maybe you think he'll learn, or that maybe you learned kind of navigating it?
I think, you're always learning. That's part of the because things are always changing, right? The circumstances around college sports continue to change, right? We're, you're anticipating big changes in July, and everything is kind of moving. So yeah, I don't really keep tabs on other programs a whole lot. That's not something I've ever done. I just don't really enjoy doing that. We just try to focus on our guys and our program, and what can we do better. But yeah, I mean, it's coaching and competing are two different things, and sometimes it can be there's things you learn, and I'm not gonna help anyone learn the lessons that we learned. I mean, excuse me, you kind of learn those on your own, but yeah, I mean, we're even at this point, I mean, as you get into your career and you're getting a little older, and it's everything continues to change, and that's just part of the fun, and that's part of the challenge of staying in a competitive state for long periods of time.
Coach, Penn State wrestling fans travel wherever you guys compete, and I'm sure the way you approach each individual doesn't change whether you're wrestling in Philadelphia, Tulsa, Detroit. But is there anything beneficial or exciting to you about being back in Philadelphia for this tournament, whether it's not the travel part of it or just being so close to here? Anything stand out to you in that regard?
Yeah, I don't think too much about where the arena is, or travel's gotten a lot easier these days, so it's pretty similar. We're busing over there. It's a 3-hour bus ride, but I mean, we can pretty much get anywhere in 3 hours now anyway. So, we don't think a whole lot about the arena. It's cool that we're going back to Philly, obviously being in Pennsylvania. I think it means more to probably the Penn State fans to have it close. So we're excited about that. But I think our job is just to be the same wherever it's at and have the same mindset and focus and energy. We're not looking at it any differently because it's, in our home state here at all.
Cael, kind of going back to that feeling in 2011 when you think you might have locked up that title in the semifinal round. There's been handfuls of times where you guys have wrestled well enough in earlier sessions to clinch before all the wrestling was over. So how do you guys kind of stay focused on the matches ahead when you still got Penn State guys going well? In the back of your mind, you may be thinking, well, we already won the team title.
Yeah, they're just two different things. I mean, winning the team title obviously is important, but really these kids choose to come to Penn State because they want us to help them reach their goals. So I mean, that's really the first and foremost in our minds is just making sure our kids have what they need to be happy and successful. I mean, I know, like, as a competitor and the way I grew up, the team is always number one. I think you're going to compete better as an individual when you're part of something bigger than yourself also. But yeah, our focus is on, we're thinking about, lightning Luke Lihlidal. How do we help him be at his best? How do we help Braeden Davis? And I know what their goals are individually. And that's what we want, nothing less than, what their goals are for them. So that's, you might, be winning as a team, but and even if you do, your heart's always, I think coaching is like being a parent, your heart's always going to be with the kid that doesn't reach their goal, kind of a thing. So that's just kind of the nature of coaching, I think. But you have to keep all those things in check, obviously, because, we got things go well, or maybe they don't go as well, and you still got to be ready, for that next match to help the next kid. But really, I mean, I think everything is just making sure that we have the right perspective. I mean, as coaches, as a program, right? I mean, we're talking about a sport, right? That this, next week people aren't going to be talking about this anymore. They're going to be talking about the next big game or whatever's coming up, and I think, really compared to eternity and really why we're here on earth and, what God has in store for us, there's really no difference, very, very tiny difference between, Pee Wee wrestling and the NCAA Wrestling Championship. So just keeping those things in mind kind of help us to stay focused on the right things. At the same time, it's important enough that we're going to do everything we possibly can within rules to be the best team we can possibly be. But just having that right perspective is the balance. And I think one of the keys for us as a program and as a staff and for the kids on our team.
Cael, when you look at Mitchell's season, you look at the record, you look at some of the bout scores, it fairly dominant season, but the job is not done yet. You talk about attention to detail and your practices and kind of how you always kind of look at that stuff. For someone like you, what is the challenge of maybe fine tuning somebody like Mitchell's game as his style as the season progresses? And how have you kind of seen him grow maybe this year, as the season's progressed?
Yeah, I just think he's a student of the game too. Like, he wants to be the best in the world. So it doesn't matter where you're at. If you've won all your matches or you've lost all your matches, we're still trying to learn from each match, right? Even if and then, obviously the key is you don't have to lose to learn, right? You can get in a match and say, well, man, I need to finish this takedown this way, and especially a guy like Mitch, where he has people coming at him and trying to defend different ways and trying to slow things down or whatever. We're always, we got to counter that and make sure we're a step ahead. So I think wherever you're at, that's kind of the fun of competing, is just, we're trying to get better. We're trying to be better prepared for our opponents the next time we wrestle them. And that's obviously the mindset that, our individual student athletes have to have. It can't be, hey, how do I sneak by this competitor, this competition one more time? We got to continue to try to separate ourselves from them. And so that's the kind of mindset he has, right? There's always little things we can get better on. And that's what makes this worthwhile.
Time for two more.
Coach, in the case of Bo, and this would apply to Carter as well and Greg, this is their final go at it, final run. How do you balance for them or coach them up with risk management? This is your last chance. Fundamentals are important. Keep the main thing, but also, you might have to do something that you necessarily aren't comfortable with, because this is your final chance to achieve something at the greatest point. So how do you balance all of that?
Yeah, I think it's tricky. I think it's just perspective again, right? It's not, hey, this is your last chance. I mean, it's more about, hey, we have another chance to go win a national title, right? So it's just a completely different energy. It's not, we don't have anything to protect. Nobody's wrestled in the 2025 NCAA tournament yet. You couldn't have won this tournament. I mean, it all takes place this weekend. All of our guys, regardless of where we're at, it's just one opponent at a time and score more points than whoever's in front of you for 7 minutes. So we just try to keep things simple. I think it's more of a long-term plan with guys, and if this is their last year at the national tournament, then making sure they go out there and go get it. And that's just a different attitude than trying to protect something that they don't have yet, but it is tricky. I mean, that's what makes sports tricky and why people watch, because it can be hard, right? I mean, pressure changes perspective, and, people get tight and vice versa, whatever. So that's even why during the season, we don't worry too much about our wins and losses, because it's all going to be behind us soon. And, sometimes losing a match can be a great blessing. Sometimes having a good match when we don't want to can be a great blessing. Sometimes winning a national title is a great blessing. Sometimes it isn't, I mean, we won't know the answer to that until you look back on their life and see where they're at in 25 years or 20 years or 30 years, right? I mean, it's all just, moving forward. You're going to take what you learn here and you're going to apply it to the next part of your life, and whether it's your career, your family, whatever. And this national title thing is going to come and go really fast. But it sure is a heck of a lot more fun to win than not. So, and we'd rather build off of success, but we don't know what's in our best interest. So we just, go give our best effort and let the cards fall where they may, and things are going to work out.
Cael, seeing what you guys saw all year long as a coaching staff, obviously the goal is to have 10 national champions. That's what you guys want to have as a staff. But seeing what you guys have seen, what do you feel is the maximum potential for this team? Did you return the bulk of the lineup from last year that broke the team scoring record, things like that? What do you feel as a staff, or maybe just yourself, that is the max potential of this team?
I honestly don't really even think about that kind of stuff. I mean, we want each of our guys to go in there and be happy and healthy and be smiling when the tournament's over, and take whatever comes out of this tournament and run with it, whether they're done wrestling or they have another year. As far as anything else, I mean, we know what their goals are individually, so we want to help them get in there and reach their goals. But as far as anything specific. Beyond that, it's just not. We just, you only have so much energy, time, focus that we just don't. We don't waste. We don't waste a lot of energy. I don't know. I feel like that's just kind of, we don't, using our imaginations and, kind of what if this, what if that, this is what we're looking for as a team. We're trying to do that. I mean, we got 10 guys and we hope they all can just go wrestle with enthusiasm. If we do that, like, we'll be thrilled. I will be thrilled and proud and happy. And if we don't do that, well, then, still going to be proud and happy, and we'll figure out how to do it better next time.
All right. Thank you.
Cool.